Charlie Foxtrot, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, Mike 0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, calling DX on 12. Yeah, November 8, X-Ray Germany Sierra, I believe that was. Thanks for coming back to me. The name this side is Mark. That's Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo. And I'm about 15 miles southeast of the City of London. I'll give you a report on the next over. And I'll give you some technical details if you like them as well. November 8, X-Ray Golf Sierra. This is M0 JCF.
Yeah, very good, Mark. Yeah, I think the band's starting to get ready to go out. When I first heard you, you're about 5 and 7. Then you're all the way down to like 5 and 2. I'm hoping they'll come back up. Anyways, Mark, we had a QSO just a little bit over 1 year ago. And the band, located here in northern Michigan, the town of Gaylord. Gaylord, Michigan is located just below the Mackinac Bridge area. Anyways, like I said, you came in at 5 and 7. And man, you think all the way down to about 5 and 2. But regardless, I can hear you. I can hear you really well. Your Q5 on the audio. And a great picture that you have of the motorcycle on the top of your page there. That's awesome. Anyways, Mark, I'll pass it back to you. Make sure you can hear me. Charlie from N8XGS.
Yeah, November 8, X-Ray Golf Sierra. I think you said Ron, but please correct me if I was wrong on that. I think you said wrong. Ron, we'd spoken about a year ago, and apologies, I haven't got the internet in front of me, so I can't actually double check that. But thanks for the compliments on the motorcycle. It's one that I no longer own. It was a drag bike. It was a quarter-mile drag bike that I built. It was a turbocharged Suzuki, so about 340 brake horsepower, but that's another story. Your signal report is what we want to give you. 5 and 3. You're 5 and 3. And thanks for seeing me peaking at 5 and 7. I'm using this time round an old Yaesu Fox Tango 757 Golf X-Ray. I'm using about 75 watts into a 5/8 wave vertical antenna. Now, if I spoke to you a year ago, there was a possibility of 2 radios, I think. It would have either been the IC7300 or the TS830S Kenwood, but the Kenwood's a little bit sick at the moment, and the IC7300 is just far too modern and makes life far too easy. I like to make it difficult for myself. So that's the story there, and if you can correct me on the name, if I did get the name wrong, apologies for that. The ears aren't working as well as they should be these days, but if that long ramble over, you did peak at 5 and 3 to me. N8XGS M0 JCF.
Yeah, roger that, Mark. Hey, real good on everything. Yeah, the name here is Randy. Romeo Alpha November Delta. Again, it's Randy Romeo Alpha November Delta. Where you're at now, it kind of seems to go up where you're staying between 5 and 1 and 5 and 3. Mostly 5 and 3. So I think it's probably just the time of day on your side and the time of day here. I don't think 12 meters was in as good a shape as 10 meters was. Run 10 meters for a couple of hours and made a lot of great contact. Decided to come here and take a look at 12 meters before I put the radio in there for the day and go do some things outside. Anyways, it's great to hear you. People, you were running the 7800. There was a 7800, the vertical, and 100 watts. So, hey, doing really great, I think. Also, just a 100-watt station here. Mark, I'm running it up ETX number 10, 100 watts. My antenna is the 5 element. I apologize. It's the 3 element, 5 zone, beautiful flat. It's 18 meters off the ground. WX2, we started out at about -2 degrees Celsius this morning, going up to 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. And Mark, I got to say, that's been the weather here for about the last 5 or 6 days. Beautiful sunny days, no wind, nice warm spring type weather. Man, it freaks me out because I know it's not going to last. Spring usually doesn't come here in northern Michigan until about May. So we've got another month or so of unpredictable weather now, but I got to say for now it's beautiful outside. Juliet Charlie Fox from N8XGS.
Yeah, N8XGS M0JCF returning. It looks like the cubicle quad then is doing all of the hard work. As I say, you're pretty consistent around 5 and 3 to me. A little bit of QSB in the negative direction, but still doesn't drop you off the cliff or anything, which is good. The Whiskey X-Ray here, actually, it's been a fantastic day. Believe it or not, I've actually been outside in my garden for a few hours this afternoon with no t-shirt on, wearing a pair of shorts. Now the temperature is only about 13 to 14 degrees, but we had blue skies this afternoon and it was absolutely glorious. Started off misty and cold this morning, about 2 degrees this morning. As I say, a little bit of mist, but it burnt off. The clouds have turned up now. We got broken clouds, but as I say, we had a few hours of absolute glorious sunshine. I've actually cut my grass. I've mowed the lawn and I've tended a few of the young shrubs and that are starting to burst into green. So, you know, it was a good day for the garden, but as we come to the end of the day, we're at 4:30 local time. It started to get a bit chilly out there. And as for the 10 metres, I was on 10 metres just a short while ago. The DX wasn't that good. Really, I could hear USA stations, and but the only replies I was getting was really the Canary Islands, etc. However, earlier, just an hour or so ago, I did have the Mauritius come back to me, which is always nice. It's a station I've worked before, but when those stations down there in the Indian Ocean come back to me, always gives me a smile because I don't hear them often. And so I just thought I'd come to 12 metres. I quite often sit on 12 metres later in the afternoon. I find the band a lot more gentlemanly. You know, there's Havoc at the moment on 10. I'm sure you've heard them. The Expedition in Grenada is down there at about 425, and of course on the split above him it's an absolute zoo. So just running 50 watts on the 757 with the vertical antenna, I wasn't going to bother sitting there all afternoon trying to break a pile up, especially with the multi-kilowatt stations and the stations with big beams. So that's the story. I say spring coming in May would be far too late for me. I think that would drive me mad. But yeah, our spring is here. The spring flowers are coming up now, and the temperature's definitely getting on the plus side. But the rain is bound to come back by the weekend. It always does. Back to you, Randy, and apologies for getting your name wrong. November 8, X-Ray Golf Sierra. This is Mike 0, Juliet, Charlie, Foxtrot.
Real nice copy, Mark. Hey, no apology necessary, no big deal. Hey, that's how it goes, man. We're having fun and happy that we all enjoy, and you know, gotta all get along with one another and try to be happy and make some good contact. That's what I would say. And yeah, as far as your Grenada, the expedition, yeah, I'm gonna stay away from that for a couple of days. I actually did. I went about 8 KTs up split, and I called 20 times, and I timed it for just about the time he was picking somebody up. I tried 20 of them, and didn't make it through, so I said, come back another day. 3 or 4 days from now, it'll be a lot easier to get in, if you get in at all. But like you said, no sense doing combat with everybody that's running their big amplifiers and stack beams and things like that. It's just kind of like banging your head against the wall and expecting it not to hurt at some point. But I don't know. It always amazes me how many guys don't understand the idea of split. I don't know. Even when the guy's saying, you know, this is so-and-so and so-and-so, listening 5 to 10 up, listening 5 to 10 up. I don't know. If you don't know what that means, then I guess you're probably more of a newbie in the hobby. And I try to be patient with people and approach this guy. And hey, man, he's working split. I've never had anybody ask me, what is that? But they always seem to figure it out if they hear you tell them it's split. But I don't know, when you come to when you can't hear anybody when you're answering, I don't know, it's usually a split station. Anyways, enough about that. Well, that's real good. I'm glad you guys are having a good thing over there. And like I say, ours usually doesn't come till like May. And we've had probably the last 3 winters have been very mild here. lower simulation than we've ever had before, and temperatures a lot warmer than we've ever had before. And who knows, maybe this is the way things are going to go. Me and some of my neighbors were chuckling the other day saying, wow, you know, maybe this is the new northern Michigan, you know. And maybe winter's going to cut out a lot sooner. We'll get a little bit nicer weather a lot longer. Because, yeah, honest to goodness, yeah, we're usually like a 3-month summer up here. You get June, July, and August, and then September is a gobbledygook of pre-winter and the end of summer. And by October, we usually have snow at the end of the month. Lots of cold weather in October, too. Very cold in the morning, nice days, so pretty much like what we're having right now. So, hey, it isn't worth my feelings. If the snow totally stops up here, oh, wow. That's the way it goes. It might spare me from having to sell my home and move to a long time. All right, Mark. Hey, great talking with you. I just wanted to say, last Friday or Saturday, I talked to a station in the Netherlands, and he told me he had been out mowing his lawn along with all of his neighbors. They were all mowing their lawns for the very first time already in the Netherlands, and it had been very warm there for quite a stretch, and their lawn was already at the point where it needed to be mowed. I thought that was pretty funny. Anyways, Mike Zero, Charlie Fox from N8XGS. Microphone back to you, Mark.
Yeah, N8XGS M0JCF. You're sometimes peaking 5 and 5 there, Randy. But you mentioned October, and of course, last October I was in Florida, and we go to Florida quite often. And the Floridians just don't know what a winter is, do they? And it's quite funny, because then all the snowbirds from October onwards, from your states and the states around you, all tend to flock there, don't they? And try to avoid the winter like the plague. I've got a friend who lives in Wisconsin, just across the border, and he's always miserable about the snow as well, because originally, he doesn't come from Florida, but he did live and work. Excuse me, he did live and work in Florida for quite a number of years, and then during the pandemic, when his work dried up, I think he was a rigger, for lighting rigger for movie sets. And when the pandemic come along, 2020, and the work dried up, he had to go back to Wisconsin, and that's where he stayed for the last 4 years. And yeah, he's always moaning about the bloody weather. I mean, I thought the English were the ones who always moan about the bloody weather, but it seems like that he's got it as well. But as I say, it will soon be gone. I mean, you've got some glorious countryside up there, fantastic countryside around the Great Lakes. Me and my wife keep saying that we're going to visit the lakes at some time. In fact, she actually wants to now visit Canada. I mean, I've got friends in Canada, and for many years, 45 years, I've been promising that I would visit them in Montreal and Toronto and Ottawa. And I think now is the time to actually go and see these people, because none of us are getting any younger. And I said to my wife, we can go to Canada, we can actually go to Niagara Falls, we can see the Great Lakes, and then possibly cross over the border into Ohio, make our way around, is it Lake Erie? Make our way around Lake Erie, across to Lake Michigan, and and do all the Lakes. Huron is the other one. There's a few of them up there. Superior, Excuse me. I've had the pleasure, I would say, of actually flying over the Great Lakes once when I was going to Florida. Normally they fly down the eastern seaboard, but this particular trip, they flew over Canada and then turned left and then down through the USA. And I noticed on the map, on the little moving map that you have on your backrest, and I saw that we was going over the lakes, so I had a quick look out of the window, and sure enough, I can't remember which lake it was, but you had a very, very good view of one of the whole lakes. So I've got some good photographs of that. So that's my claim to fame about flying over Michigan. I think we was probably just east of Michigan. We was probably over Ohio, and it was Lake Erie that I photographed rather than Lake Michigan. I'm not sure, it was some years ago, that one, but that's my claim to fame. I've seen you from the sky, Randy. N8XGS M0JCF.
living in the woods, you know. Maybe you saw my antenna. Anyways, hey, just so yeah, you know, picking up the 5 and 5 a couple times there, and peaceful. But yeah, like you said, not dropping off the floor. Anyways, yeah, it's a beautiful area. Best time of the year, in my opinion. Late summer, early fall. If you come here, it's beautiful. Bring a sweatshirt. You get 70-degree days and 50-degree nights, and it's a nice thing to be around the campfire or be outside and have a fire going in somebody's yard. Talk back a pine or two, and you know, jaw jack about the day or the summer or whatever. But, a lot of beautiful land up here where I live. A lot of very empty land. A lot of state property. Hundreds of thousands of acres of state property and federal forests. So you can roam around on. Most of them have 2 tracks. A lot of single-track motorcycle riding is available. And you can ride, you know, take jeeps back on a lot of it, and pickup trucks, whatever you want. Just get out, walk around with the family and the dog, and enjoy the beauty of the woods. A lot of great big forests here. Pretty fantastic. That's one of the draws for me ever since I was a child to the northern Michigan area, just the vastness of the open area that you have. And also, the land is so easy to use, you know, free will. You know, you can't build a house on it or anything like that. But, you know, you can always go out and erect a small hunting shack or something like that that you have to take down here. Or you can, you know, put up hunting lines that you can leave out there year-round and things like that. Definitely a lot of fun around here at times of the year. And I've always wanted to get on a plane or a jet and go over to your side of the world. I've never been over to Europe at all. I've been up into Canada myself, and many times a lot of great snowmobile trips, some fishing trips, things like that. And, you know, it's pretty nice. But, yeah, talking about Florida, my dad lives in Florida. He and his wife sold their home up here about 10 or 12 years ago, and they moved down to Florida. And they absolutely hate it. It's hot as hell all the time. It's terribly overcrowded. Literally, you know, they just complain about it. It's not as bad. It's a hot time of the year. And most of the snowbirds, as you said, are back here or wherever they're from, you know, whatever destination they arrive from, they return to for the summer. In the wintertime, it's terribly overcrowded. Tons and tons of car accidents, fatality accidents, lots of old people running into each other with cars, and it's just total. If you go out to eat or anything like that, you got to know what time of day to go, or you show up to eat dinner and they hand you a beaver if you want to know, and you can come get a table in an hour or two. It's just ridiculous. I laugh at it all the time. And they're always like, yeah, you need to sell your house and move down here. I'm like, the hell I do. The hell I do. God would have to come and let me out of this house and make me move there himself. There's no way I'll ever move to that. But other than that, I know it's a nice place to go sometimes to get away. It's good to see different places, you know, and go for a vacation. But that's about it. Vacation. Then go home and return to your home. But yeah, it's pretty crazy down there. Again, I love all the water and stuff down there. Pretty amazing, and I've been in the Everglades, like on airboat rides and so on, so a lot of fun going there and see some alligators and go crash through the marshes and stuff like that with a guy that knows Louisiana where he's at, and anyways, making me laugh just thinking about it. Yeah, you go down there, you know, April, May, June, July, August, September, man, it's 100 degrees at 9 a.m. Not for me. If it was a dry heat, that would be a different thing too, but you're surrounded by bodies of water everywhere in marshes, so it's totally humid. It's very much, I don't know, it's too much for me. Anyways, Mark, I think I'll make this my final order. Unless there's anything detrimental we need to talk about, handling some world issues or something like that, I'll stick around for a while, but like I said, I've been on for a few hours now. I'm ready for lunch. And here for me, and my stomach's gladly letting me know of that too. It's just a growling away here. Keep telling it to shut up, but it won't stop. Anyways, Mark, nice running into you here at Columbia. And glad it was you having a nice conversation, and good way to finish up the morning of the acting. Mike Zero, Julius, Charlie Fox. Hey, it's been a pleasure, Mark. Take care of yourself, and we'll be looking up for you further down the line.
Yeah, N8XGS M0JCF, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic meeting up with you again. Let's try and not make it a year this time before the next time. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying about Florida and the humidity and that. You know, I've been to California. I've done California top to bottom along the Pacific Coast Road. That's a fantastic place and doesn't seem as hot and humid as Florida. And of course, I've done Arizona and I've done Nevada. I've done those two states as well, and that's dry heat. I mean, Arizona especially, red rock country. I think it's beautiful country down there, proper cowboys and Indians type country, you know, what I remember from movies when I was a kid. So yeah, I always said that I'd like to live in Arizona. I don't know about politically, but definitely for the countryside. And of course, you can buy the land so cheap there. And other hot countries I've been to, I mean, I've done the Far East and I've done Australia. I mean, I've driven around the whole of Australia, 26,000 kilometres. It took us 4.5 months. Now that's a dry, hot place. But when you get into the north, you get the humidity back. So, you know, you get a huge mix of it down there in Australia. And of course, the Middle East, sorry, not the Far East, Thailand, you know, Malaysia, around there, you know, it is just so humid. Sometimes the humidity is 100% and it's just a killer. But yeah, if you ever get the chance, come to England, come to freeze yourself to death and be wet and miserable for 9 months of the year. It's fantastic. And then of course you can move into Europe and you can escape some of the wet weather. But that's what happens when we live on an island, you know, in the North Sea. It's on the North Atlantic, you know, you're going to expect it. Anyway, an absolute pleasure, Randy. And until the next time, I wish you and yours and all around you very best 73. Glad you had a good day DXing. You go and have something to eat. I've got chicken wings this evening. I'm going to make myself a big batch of chicken wings and shove them down my neck as fast as I can before my daughter's dog gets hold of them. All the very best in 73 and bye-bye for now. N8XGS M0JCF. Cheers, chat.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Mark, once again. And yeah, I'll be listening for you. Anytime I hear you, I'll get at you. And if you hear me working a little file up or something, and we'll figure out have a chat. We'll make everybody mad. We'll slow it down and have a nice chat. Take it easy, my friend. Enjoy those chicken wings. 73.
Yeah, best 70 frings. I certainly will. Don't you worry about that. QRZ, Mike Zero, Juliet, Charlie Fox, southeast of England. Okay, nothing is heard. Mike Zero, Juliet, Charlie Foxtrot is going QRT. This frequency is clear for use. The frequency is clear for use. Thank you.